All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of Council for June. I will start off with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we live, work, and gather on the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin people, specifically the Temiskaming First Nation. We recognize the presence of the Temiskaming First Nation in our community since time immemorial and honor their long history of welcoming many nations to this beautiful territory and uphold and uplift their voice and values. I'll also remind you that tomorrow is June 21st is National Indigenous Peoples Day, a day to recognize and celebrate the history, heritage, resilience, and diversity of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis across Canada. So with that, we'll move on to roll call.
Thank you. I will note all members are present with the exception of Mayor Jeff LaFerriere.
Thank you. I already got asked once how to address the chair. The courts and the churches wouldn't appreciate me being referred to as your worship, so we'll just go with chair. Save you getting tongue-tied during the process. Review or revisions or deletions to the agenda. Does anyone have any additions or items they're concerned about? Hearing none, I have a resolution be resolved that City Council approves the agenda as printed. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Wilson and Councillor Foley. All in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature. Hearing none, review and adoption of the council minutes. Be it resolved that City Council approves the following minutes as printed. The regular meeting of Council, May 16th, 2023, and Committee of the Whole meeting, June 6th, 2023. Mover and a seconder, Councillor Braden and Councillor Levine. Discussions on the minutes? All in favor? Carried. There are no public meetings this evening. So our first presentation is the Temiskaming Shores Library Chair, Bridget Wilkinson. Bridget, pleasure to have you here.
It's just very strange being here as an individual and not a lawyer. Council, not court. I got it. We're good. I don't get slides at court, so this is fine. Yes, so I am here as the chair of the library board, and because you give us money to run our budget, we thought it'd behoove us to report to you about what we've been doing. So we're here to present our annual report 2022. I welcome any questions, comments. We want you guys to know exactly what your money is being spent on and feel good about it, so that's why we're here. So, hey, look at that, it worked. So we, during our last strategic planning, we did work on a new mission statement and geared towards more what the library actually provides to the community and enforcing the fact that we're not just a place where you take out books. It's a source of inspiration and inclusion in our community. We enhance our neighborhoods by providing access to resource, programming, and opportunities for participatory learning and leisure in both official languages. Too excited there. Our current library board, so as you know, with the new council, the term of the previous board did naturally come to an end, and we have two new council representatives. We have Melanie and Nadia, who replaced Jeff and Danny as our council representatives. We were very lucky, almost our entire board returned. Only one board member didn't apply back, and so that left space for Erin Little to join our board, and she stepped right into the role of vice chair. So we have a very enthusiastic board, very committed to the cause, and I'm very excited because it means I have to do less. So that works for me. We have a few statistics for you here, just a couple couple of things that we pulled from our shots there, and just a few comments on those. One thing to remember with our statistics, if you are comparing them to previous years, is that we currently only have one location. So we do have the relationship with the Northern College, Haileybury branch, but we have no system for collecting data from that branch. So all of these numbers that you're seeing here are only of the New Lister location. Visits to the library are significantly lower than when we last reported to you in 2019. However, there's been a few changes since 2019. I don't think I need to be up here and tell you what those are. And also, again, Wi-Fi usage was lower in 2022 than it was in 2019, but it has changed significantly. And one of the biggest changes that we've had is the introduction of the Wi-Fi hotspots. We were able to get those initially with a grant, and then we were able to expand that usage with a further grant from the health unit. So we have, well, we purchased 15, but one went missing, and the police were involved, and we haven't relocated it. So, but it's been a very, very popular position, checking out those Wi-Fi hotspots, which allows people to go to the cottage. It allows people from contributing townships to have good access to Wi-Fi. And considering how many government services are provided through internet, it is an incredibly important access that we're able to give to our ratepayers. The use of computer workstations is lower than it was in 2019, but you can see that we have a higher number of people using wireless printing, using the computers for things like vulnerable sector checks, other government services. And 2022 was actually the first year that we were able to provide in-person programming since 2019 due to the pandemic. When we did the redesign of the library with the new location, we included study rooms, which we didn't have before, and they have been immensely popular. Considering we only had our official relaunch in September 2022, we had 307 study and programming room bookings during that year. The programming room we do book out at a cost, but the study room is available for anybody, whether they're just there as a high school student wanting a quiet place to study because they don't have that at home, or if it's somebody who's doing an exam at a college, that room is available for them. On to our revenues. As you know, the bulk of our revenues come from you, and thank you. But we do explore any other sources of funding we can get. So we do have a teeny tiny sliver of provincial funding, and Danny can tell you as on his position when we're talking about provincial funding and what's available. The funding the province has provided to libraries has not changed in almost 30 years. So if there was ever a room for some lobbying, this is where it is. Because look at that slice of that pie. Our self-generated funds outpass what the province gives us. And when I'm talking self-generated funds, I'm talking overdue late fees, I'm talking money that's been donated by wonderful patrons to the Temiskaming Foundation. So that, I mean, they should be embarrassed by that, but they're not. So somebody's got to speak up on behalf of public libraries in that respect. We do apply to any grants that we think would fit our models, and so that percentage is there as well. And then you do have the contracting township funding as well. We are unfortunately down to 2 contracting townships, but the 2 that we still have are very committed, and we've completely changed our model of how we address them. So a few years ago, the city made a conscious effort to address what townships were paying to city funds. That it's not just the libraries, you also looked at cemeteries, you looked at the marina, and that changed how we relate to the surrounding townships. That did mean that unfortunately we lost a couple of them because we asked them to pay a significantly larger contribution than they had in the past, but it also has changed how we report to them. So we make a significant effort now to go out annually. We provide them with our report. We provide them with the list of services, and they do send that out to each of the ratepayers with their tax bills saying, this is what your taxes are giving you. And so we've actually seen an increase in membership from the 2 townships that are still contributing. It's a very small slice of the pie, but it's an important slice of the pie that speaks to the relationship that the city has with the townships that are around it. Our expenditure. So our biggest expenditure, as you can see, is our wonderful staff and wages and benefits. The library gears itself through its policies to the city's three part-time library pages. The other major expenses are building upkeep and maintenance. And one thing that if you're an eagle-eyed person comparing this budget that I've just shown you towards the operating budget that you see, you'll see that the numbers are different. And the reason is this is based on the numbers we report to the Ministry of Culture. So this includes the debt repayment for the renovations to the building, which is 20% of our budget. So that's equaled in the revenues as well. So that's why that number is different from the operating budget that is put out to the public. Oops, sorry. Key activities. So 2022 saw a return to in-person programming, which also meant the return of our Gadget Helper program, which is a huge help to seniors in our community. Study room and programming room open for bookings, which you saw the results of that, 307 bookings in 2022. The creator space came back. Waterfront story walks, which unfortunately suffered a little bit of vandalism, but we're committed to continuing that in the future for Mental Health Week. Introduction to robotics. We added 5 new Wi-Fi hotspots through the Health Unit grant. We participate in the International Dyslexia Association Ontario grant to provide decodable books to our members, as well as, and these are things people don't know the library can provide, CO2 monitors, radon detectors. Essentially, you've got a system that can check anything out to the public. And we're happy to do that. We've got snowshoes, we've got hiking guides, we've got backpacks, we've got puzzles, we've got CO2 monitors and radon detectors. I mean, sky's the limit in what you can use the system to provide to your ratepayers. As you will see from this slide, highlighted services from the library. This is what we provide. This is what you get in return for your investment. It's pretty phenomenal. In 2022, we launched the library partnership with the Northern College. So as you know, we closed down the Haileybury branch, and we have a partnership agreement now with Northern College campus for, well, let's go back to the expense slide and see the cost of that. Northern College partnership is 2% of our budget, as opposed to running the entire Haileybury branch. They put in a significant investment into that space. It looks beautiful. Believe me, I'm a staff person there. I saw what it looked like before they put the money in. It's a nice space to be. We've got kids' books. We've got computers. Everything is fully wheelchair accessible to all of our ratepayers that they can return their books there. We're providing service to the south of our district. And then we also had our grand opening for our new building. Live music, snacks, scavenger hunt. 350 people showed up to that event. Planned for the next year, we did, as you know, the previous New Liskeard Library branch was sold into private ownership. This year, he dug up our time capsule. So we are going to be re-insuring that, so stay tuned for a new event. We've already got one of the initial students that showed up to insure that committed to coming back to re-insuring it, which is kind of exciting. Yeah, she's the mayor's daughter-in-law, but you know, whatever. So, there you go. Thank you for your time. Anybody have any questions about the library? What it's providing now, what you wish it was providing?
Any questions from any members of council? Councillor Ducharme?
I don't have a question because I sit on the board, but sitting on the board, I've just seen a really exceptional management from like the executive committee. I've only been on 3 months, but really focused on community, and to thank everyone on the board that volunteers and the CEO for for the work they do.
Councillor Wilson?
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to echo that as well. Certainly seeing all the things that you do at the library. Yeah, thank you so much, and for the great management and a tremendous service for the community. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm the chair of the board, which is why I'm here reporting to you, but I would remiss if you guys didn't know that it's all Rebecca, which you'll get. I was paging by, and there we go. She betrayed her American roots there on the coloring. I was noticing this going through the slides today.
A couple of quick questions then.
Yeah,
how is
absolutely.
the community fridge panning out? Working well so far?
It seems to be the grand opening was 3 weeks.
Yeah, I was there for that.
I'm not good with time. Yeah, and haven't had any issues yet.
Yeah, every time they put food in it, it's gone within the day.
Good, so it doesn't go bad.
Yeah, no, the food's not going bad. It's not sitting around very long. There seems to be a real need for it because, like yesterday, we noticed they had stocked it up in the morning, and by the afternoon, the food was pretty much all gone. So there is a need. I feel like they may need more donations, to keep it stocked, but I think that will come with time.
Yeah, and the only other comment I'll make is with regards to funding. It's harder to deal with the government when their contribution is less than your self-generated funds, which was rather significant there. Mm-hmm. But the only thing I'll say there is the best way there's currently no discussions with regards to library funding that I'm aware of, but the best way to start those discussions is with a well-worded resolution from City Council. So maybe you could work with the council representatives to the library board, send something to us, and we'll pass it up the ladder and see what happens.
Happy to.
If you don't ask, they can't say no.
Well, I mean, one of the tactics I've always seen is through internet usage. And if you look at our numbers, I mean, and it's been brought back to the provincial government how access to the internet has not improved. And you look at our stats, and the one that you need to see for sure is Wi-Fi uses. That number does not reflect people actually walking into the library and using our computers. That's people sitting in our parking lot accessing our Wi-Fi, because that's the only place that they can get it. The library in most communities in Ontario is the place people access the internet. And so that's a place where what they want to be providing to the public and what we need intersects. And that's a place of growth that I think we can focus on.
Good. Well, thank you for your presentation. Like I say, if you want to work with your council reps on a well-worded resolution, we'll certainly voice it at Queen's Park.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting us speak with you today.
Alrighty, moving in then, our next presentation is from One Light Temiskaming, Rami Minning. Come on up there, Rami. You'll have to turn on the mic, I guess. Or...
Hello. Hi, good evening, all our lovely humans, and thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it. Dear members of council in the city of Temiskaming Shores and honorable stakeholders, thank you for giving us the opportunity to hold this information session regarding One Light Diversity Center. We are a nonprofit organization seeking your support to successfully integrate multicultural and diverse individuals in our district of Temiskaming Shores. A proposal outlines how our nonprofit organization, One Light Diversity Center, is aligned with the city of Temiskaming Shores' current and future goals. Our dream is to empower individuals in our community to embrace and accept one another, be free from all types of discrimination and exploitation, and work collaboratively so each human can reach their full potential, while enhancing the social and economical benefits of the city of Temiskaming Shores. Today we'll talk about multiculturalism and diversity. We won't focus on that too much because I know I have a time constraint, but I just want to say I'm very confident that every individual sitting here today knows what multiculturalism is and diversity and why it's important. So I'll put that forward as a statement that it is important in our region. And then we'll talk about One Light Diversity Center, where we started, what brought us on, what were our foundings. Then we'll talk about our capabilities and key activities, what we plan to do, what our intentions are. Then we'll talk about the funding summary and our request to the City of Temiskaming Shores. And then more about us, our mission and core values, our committee, who's on that, and our milestones that we reached so far in our journey of inclusivity. Multiculturalism in our region. Diversity and multiculturalism, I'm sure you all have studied so much about this in school and throughout your post-secondary education. So I'm just going to focus on the fact that immigrants and newcomers bring in diverse and multicultural experiences and perspectives. They act as catalysts to explore worldviews and faiths in our personal and professional journeys. They enhance our knowledge of the world around us. They maximize the available skill sets at workplaces such as problem-solving capabilities and solutions. They fulfill employment shortages by bringing in enhanced skilled workers and various talents and techniques. They increase the creative and diverse approaches of a community. They improve the reputation of a society. They attract capital, wealth, and investments, and they boost our social and economical growth. By promoting and welcoming cultural and social diversity, the City of Temiskaming Shores aligns with Canada's intentions to demonstrate and enhance tolerance and inclusivity. So project overview. What exactly is One Light? One Light is a project that entails a holistic approach aiming to address all aspects for multicultural and diverse individuals in our City of Temiskaming Shores, raise awareness and inclusivity through our initiatives, and empower individuals to be socially active members in our society. What exactly have you found in our foundings and our rationale? What are some common issues that the residents face, temporary and permanent residents? I'm talking about all humans that actually live here. And I'm going to emphasize this one. Sense of belonging is very important in our community. Many people feel distraught when they come here, and it's one of our very core values, sense of belonging for every individual. There's limited relevant sources for settlement for newcomers, and there's gender-oriented and Pacific-oriented organizations, but none that are inclusive of all. Employers' concerns regarding retention of employees beyond the 2 years mark. So many of them have expressed concerns that their employees leave for Southern Ontario or other more developed areas of Canada. Limited resources and time available for employers and employees to connect at the workplace. Housing crisis in our district. Celebration of multiculturalism in our public events. Understanding language barriers and program availabilities for seniors and for housemakers. Professional growth opportunities for international students. No local events available to improve social integration, such as cross-cultural learning with transparent conversations about worldviews and faith. And the attempt, and we really hope as a team to come forward with this, to develop a local interfaith holy place of worship. What are our capabilities? So what exactly does One Light Diversity tend to do to make sure that the individuals and the concerns that they have expressed are addressed? We will provide settlement services, which includes interpretation for newcomers wanting to access services in multi-languages. We will provide assistance with completing applications such as the benefits and credits for newcomers, passports renewals, OHIP, SIN, employment insurance benefits, library registrations, subsidized housing applications. We even provide volunteer transportation services when they come here without any mode of transportation. We are with the newcomers from the stage of overseas recruitment through our international connections that we have established, and we provide immigration referrals and services. Then in our second section of activities, which is employment and growth services, we will intend to provide English conversation circles and English as a second language. That is a two-pillar program. English as second language is more in class, and English conversation circles is more informal and introducing them to their community, which will kind of bridge into our bi-weekly meetings. Then in our social integration services, we will provide tour guides and city orientations to help newcomers understand and access community resources, once a month multicultural celebrations, and I'm so glad that this has been well accepted by our community, that embrace and socially engage all humans, diverse identities, LGBTQ private events, food bank and food kitchen services, bi-weekly cross-cultural platforms for people to talk about and focus on increasing the opportunities between those who currently reside here and those who come as new. So we hope to build the bridges. And one of our long-term goals is mental health counseling services in different languages with respect to English and French, but also understanding that there are newcomers who do not understand either of the two languages. What are our short-term intentions and what are our long-term intentions? Well, raising public awareness is definitely key, and bringing forth the social issues, building bridges between newcomers and current residents, encouraging employers to have more welcoming and inclusive job descriptions, 15 committee members per year from various ethnic and professional backgrounds, 30 volunteers from different backgrounds, collaborate with 3 local organizations with similar interests, recognition from the municipal level of government, recruit and settle minimum 90% of the newcomers in Temiskaming Shores. This is our short term of this year, and so we've done pretty well with achieving those ones. And the long-term goals are strengthen, and I'll say that again, strengthen the community spirit by being a safe and secure place to have sensitive conversations. We want to make a documentary on the living lives of residents in Temiskaming Shores and publish them on immigration-related websites, advertise the town to Southern Ontario, and share it among our international partnerships. We want to observe more diversity flowing through and staying within our locality. We hope to empower individuals to access and navigate local resources and referrals without hesitations, retention of community members, recognition from federal and provincial government levels, and most importantly, aiding the city with social and economical growth. Let's talk about partnerships and where we see ourselves going. So we have North Bay Multicultural Center, and we're hoping to be partnerships with them as the middle connector between Temiskaming Shores and North Bay. Kirkland Lake Multicultural Center, the Association Canadienne La Francais de l'Ontario Region Temiskaming. We have recently collaborated on events in the past as well, and the Interfaith Employee Resource Group, which focuses on employer and employee relationships. There are a few organizations right now that are currently trying to and striving to provide local services, but what brings One Light Diversity Center different is that we're serving locally and bringing the local insights into spotlight. Our request to the city. Our request to the city right now, our total budget of 2023 is approximately $94,000, but that does not include office space and sponsored venue rentals, because we're very grateful to the city who has tremendously this year offered us spaces. So what we're offering, or what we're asking for in 2023 is 6 reservations of Riverside Place, 12 reservations of Riverside Place throughout 2024, a place to have our bi-weekly newcomer meetings, funding and transportation for tour guides and orientation so the newcomers can understand better what our community is and where certain things are, and very important, we are looking for assistance with finding a local and accessible office space that is friendly to all humans. That's our request. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody taking the opportunity and listening to what I had to say, and I'm very honored on behalf of every multicultural and diverse individual in this community to be representing you here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Questions, members of council? Councillor Duchamp.
When you speak about recruiting 90% of newcomers in Temiskaming, what are you recruiting from outside of the community, or are you just trying to offer services to 90% of the newcomers who do come to Temiskaming Shores?
As of right now, it's actually both. So we are providing services to individuals that are here, but also throughout just our past 6 months, we have brought in people from internationally and through our overseas recruitment agencies and our connections with them. Thank you for asking.
Councillor Wilson?
Thank you, Chair. The work with the North Bay and Kirkland Lake, can you, what involvement is there now with both those organizations? Just to clarify a little bit, if you don't mind.
I believe our financial advisor, Mr. Altosagar, will be able to speak more on that. He's the one who handles the finances, but he has logged in, so he is available to answer your question if somebody can bring him forward.
Hello. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello. Hello. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? I'm not able to. The sound is cutting off. Hello.
We can hear you.
Oh, I'm connected. Okay. Can you please repeat the question? I believe the question is about North Bay Multicultural Organization and Kirkland Lake Multicultural Center.
Yeah, I was just wondering what you talk about working with the North Bay and Kirkland Lake Multicultural Centers, and I'm just curious on what that involves. And I obviously see the need for the activities that you're doing here locally, but I'm just interested in the work that you're doing with Kirkland Lake and North Bay and how that helps you with your process. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much for that question. Actually, so through our research and we spoke to staff of the city as well.
I'm so sorry that he's having poor connections. So as far as I am aware about our relationship with North Bay and Multicultural Center and Kirkland Lake Multicultural Center, we have pretty similar services. And with North Bay, we intend to be the middleman connector. So they are offering services, but they're not able to because the only difficulty that they're facing is a transportation aspect and the distance to us. So with them, they are looking forward to providing services through One Light Diversity Center so that they can access the residents here who actually need those services. And with Kirkland Lake Multicultural Center, going forward, we look forward to doing collaborations with them, as far as I'm aware.
Good. Any other questions from council? Hearing none, and Councillor Graydon.
You're talking about office space. I'm just curious, where are you working out of now?
May I be honest? My house.
Thank you.
Good. There has been families that have come to the area in the past and have actually left again because there's no connection to their culture. So, what you're doing is a huge step forward for the community. Without going into your financials, do you apply to the federal and provincial government for funding for your programs?
We're not able to right now because we're only 7 months into our nonprofit organization. So all federal, provincial level programs have refused us at this time.
Okay, as far as funding, and I know the city does try to do stuff for you along, as you go along. And I'm sure they'll continue to work with you, and I hope you will work with city staff. As far as financial funding, our budget for 2023 has already been struck. So come late fall, we'll be starting discussions for budget for 2024. So it could be a topic of discussion then, but I would encourage you to work with city staff and see if there's anything else we can do that, rather than writing a check, that could help offset some of your costs. We do in-kind services different times, so there may be opportunities there, but that would be, can't become too big of a burden on staff either, so I'll leave you to work with staff on that.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Sorry, that brings us to our first question and answer. They're already getting up. Good night. Come on up to the mic. Well, I'll get you to repeat your address as well for...
Yeah, Ivan Ajardi, 160 Radley Hill. I received a letter concerning the train ahead sign on Radley Hill. It was dated March 30th, and it plainly indicates that the sign should be, is placed 2 meters vertically from the edge of the asphalt. I measured it myself. It's right in front of my house. It's 1.2 meters. So therefore, this sign should be about, over my head, and it's actually 3 feet from the ground. That's why I've been raising a concern that it's blocking the view of the traffic. I was told it's called a different kind of sign, and according to the MTO book, it's called I just had that here, sorry. The prepare to stop sign when flashing, it's called a tab sign, and its definition is a sign which should be 2 meters from the ground, and I'm just wondering why the city letter indicates it's 2 meters, which is not 2 meters from the ground.
Thanks, Chair. So, yes, I did go out on Radley's Hill and perform the measurement. As per the standard, there is typical measurements that are to be followed. It's not a measurement from the edge of asphalt to the bottom of the tab. It's from the edge of asphalt to the bottom of the sign, in which case the sign is as per regulation. Thank you.
Good, thanks for that, Mitch.
He calls it a tab. Oh, sorry. Mitch calls it a tab. In the MTO book, it calls it a tab sign. It's 3 feet from the ground. I'm going to get 3 foot of snowbank there this winter. Then I got to look over 9 feet of friggin' sign to get up the hill without causing an accident. Can we not use common sense here and raise the sign 3 feet? A piece of lumber is worth $56. I priced it out. It's not rocket science.
Well, I understand applying common sense, but that's usually when the city gets sued, so that would be my first cautionary tale on that subject. But, there's rules that we do have to follow. If we're interpreting them one way and you're interpreting the other way, maybe you should check with the MTO for their...
I have it in front of me. Is there any other signs in your list or in Temiskaming Shores that is 3 feet from the ground?
Well, I think from the city's point of view, looking at staff and hearing from staff, I think we're convinced that it's in the right place. So,
well, if there's ever an incident, I know somebody's going to be knocking at my door for this. Thank you.
Thanks. Sorry. Moving on to communications. Item A, Alan Spacek, Chair, Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, read their 2022 annual report. That's received for information. Item B, Amberly Spillman, Executive Assistant to the CEO and Deputy Clerk, Town of Kirkland Lake, read Northern College Skills Development Form of Funding, and that's received for information. Excuse me. Item C, Flora Theroux, member of the Temiskaming Shores Committee of Adjustment resignation notice, and that's received for information. Item D, Danielle Matten, clerk to the City of Cambridge, motion support for legislative amendments to improve municipal codes of conduct and enforcement, that's received for information. Again, Danielle Matten, clerk, City of Cambridge, motion, Highway Traffic Act amendments, received for information. Kim Turnbull, clerk, Township of Bonfield, motion support to protect the privacy of candidates and donors on publicly available forms, that's received for information. Item G, Rejan Massey, Chair of Village Noel Temiskaming, Fall Fairgrounds upkeep, that's received for information. Item H, Rachel Cody, Executive Assistant, Temiskaming Health Unit, read 2022 audited financial statements, reference, received for information. I, I, Claire Hendricks, Executive Director to the Temiskaming Foundation, read 2022 Temiskaming Foundation Annual Report, received for information. Item J, Michelle Sawinski, Communication and Executive Director, District of Temiskaming Social Services Administration Board. That's regarding their 2023 Quarter 1 Quarterly Report, received for information. Item K, Sheila Randall, Earlton Temiskaming Regional Airport, March and April 2023 Financial and Managers Reports, received for information. And item I, Leanne Corbeil, Executive Director, National Chronic Pain Society, Chronic Pain Treatments, and that's received for information. Just before I read the resolution, I want to extend a thank you to Flor Haru. I'd like to take a moment and recognize Florence Haru, who has been an active member of the city's Committee of Adjustment for the past 46 years. Flo first served on the Committee of Adjustment for the town of New Liskeard and continued with the city of Temiskaming Shores after amalgamation. His exceptional commitment to the development of the community over the years is greatly appreciated, and his contributions around the committee table will be missed by both staff and the other committee members. On behalf of the entire city of Temiskaming Shores, I would like to offer my sincere gratitude to Flo for his service to this community. Resolution be it resolved that the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores agrees to deal with communication items 10A through L in accordance with agenda references. Could I have a mover? Councillor Foley, Councillor Graydon, seconder. Discussions. Hearing none, all in favor?
Oh, sorry, Chair.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, thanks, Chair. Just item 10E, that motion regarding automated speed enforcement. Is that, so can we bring that back? Is that?
You want that brought back for discussion and
Yeah.
perhaps an action? Yes, it can be brought
please.
back.
Yes, thank you. And I just on the Temiskaming Foundation, I just was interesting this evening talking about the library, all the good work that the Temiskaming Foundation does, and I have some bias there being involved in the past, and I think it's the annual report is an excellent document, and I think we have to just I'd like to recognize again the foundation for its support in the community. Thanks.
Good, thank you. So that one item will be brought back for discussion. Committees of Council, community, all in favor of that resolution? Carried. Committees of Council, Community and Regional. Be it resolved that the following minutes be accepted for information. Minutes from the Active Trail Committee meeting held March 20th, 2023. Minutes from the Earlton Temiskaming Regional Airport Authority held on March 23rd, 2023. Minutes of the District of Temiskaming Social Services Administration Board meeting held on April 22nd, 2023. Minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on April 26th, 2023. Minutes of the Temiskaming Shores Public Library Board meeting held on April 26, 2023, and minutes of the Temiskaming Health Unit Board of Health meeting held on May 3rd, 2023. Could I have a mover for that? Councillor Wilson, Councillor Levine. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? That's carried. There are no committees of council, internal departments, so reports by members of council. We have a transit update, appointed council representatives. Who's going to do the update?
Thank you, Chair. Just just touch on that. Yes, we had a Transit Committee meeting June 15th, and we welcomed Angela Adshead from the new Mayor Cobalt to her first Transit Committee meeting. And on the agenda, we had Tammy Mackey from representing Northern College, and we had an excellent discussion on how, how many students depend on Temiskaming Transit to attend classes and get to employment in the community. We discussed a number of possible options to improve ridership of the students, including transit passes as part of tuition, and the committee agreed it would be very interested in continuing to dialogue with Northern College. It was an excellent discussion. Tammy also attended the meeting on behalf of Temiskaming Shores and Area Chamber of Commerce, and also some excellent discussion regarding the importance of the transit service for local businesses by allowing patrons and employees to access the businesses in the region. And again, further discussions with the Chamber would be very useful. Briefly, some other points. Temiskaming Shores and Cobalt, there was discussion about renewing the Memorandum of Understanding with the new transit provider. The transit notice and confirmation of hours of operation will be communicated to the public, and the new schedule has been working well and is meeting the needs of most users. Some maintenance issues were brought up around the buses needing special parts and the difficulty in obtaining some of these parts, so some have been purchased to keep in stock. And Voyego is providing an emergency bus at the depot for any emergency situations regarding maintenance, etc. A little discussion on long-term planning, which was discussed focusing on fleet replacement over the next number of years. And there was also discussion regarding the request for a bump out by a business on Whitewood Avenue in downtown Liskeard. The bump out request is near an accessible, it's near the bus stop and an accessible parking spot, and the discussion focused on how both the Transit Committee and the Accessibility Committee can work together to support everyone's needs in this situation. Last couple items, just there's some funding program that staff are looking at, which is designed to connect communities to their transit system. And the committee would like to thank the Director of Transportation for all his great work on this, and all the staff for all their excellent work dealing with the transition to the new transit provider. And the committee would also like to thank Voyego for their cooperation and professionalism through the transition period. And that's the Transit Committee report.
Thanks for that. And an update on the team, Highway 11 North.
Just a last point, sorry, Councillor, you're no comments? Okay, great. So I'll take that as well. We had a Team Highway 11 meeting. It's a working group in partnership with MTO, OPP, and the municipalities of Temiskaming Shores, Latchford, and Temiskaming. That was the original form of the group. Municipalities, including Black River, Matheson, and Englehart, have been added to that to this group. So we discussed various items at this meeting, and it's a good opportunity to have updates from MTO. We talked about the speed change on Highway 11 near 65 East, the 70-kilometer change. There was a 2+1 road pilot project update. They talked about other capital projects that are coming up in the near future on Highway 11. The OPP reviewed some of their enforcement activities. Speeding continues to be a problem in many areas. The Mayor of Black River Matheson also discussed this as a problem in their area. The Mayor of Temiskaming also discussed this issue in their area as well, but they've had some improvements with the use of speed feedback signs. There's some discussion around rest areas for trucks along the Highway 11 corridor, and the MTO is planning a rest stop at Highway 64 and 11 south of Temiskaming. And they had provided an update on new maintenance standards, which were applied on Highway 17 and 11 this year in Northern Ontario, and the new standards are being met, and MTO is pleased with the results this past winter. The MTO Enforcement Branch also provided an update on commercial motor vehicles, and there are still significant infractions involving substandard vehicles, speeding, and electronic logging device infractions. And the ELD infractions are being enforced here in Ontario, but not across the country. And that is an ongoing issue right across Canada, where we have different jurisdictions using different standards at this point. It's certainly something that our federal government needs to look at more deeply. And the meeting ended with a discussion regarding potential new members of the group. However, it likely won't go any further north. The MTO will probably establish a second group for northern communities north of Timmins. And that's the update, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks for those reports. Any questions for Councillor Wilson on his reports? The only one I'll comment, sorry, Councillor Ducharme.
Thanks, Chair. The MTO said they were pleased with the results of the new maintenance standards. Have there been statistically any reductions in fatalities or accidents on Highway 11?
Not. They were pleased in the sense that they achieved their clear pavement. I believe they said 98% of the time, and that's within a 12-hour period. So it used to be 16, now it's 12. It is interesting, of course, when you look at road safety statistics, most crashes occur in clear weather, sunny weather, and that's a reflection of speed. So it's so the winter fatalities obviously are still occurring, unfortunately, but we are also seeing, it appears, more of the closures associated with transports often that are blocking the road or delaying traffic in those situations. But to answer your question, they're looking at bare pavement within that window, and they've been happy with that, is the way they put it, yeah.
Good. With regards to Team Highway 11, we worked for, I think it was 18 months on the Northern Ontario Transportation Task Force. That's been submitted to the Minister. I received back a letter and assuring that some of the issues in there will be implemented. So if you'd like a copy of that, I could certainly share it with you for your group. Other committee reports? No? A couple of things I will touch on. The treasure hunt day, I think I did pay attention to some driveways. It seems like it was very well used. People would put stuff out, and the ones I was watching, they were cleaned up within the hour, so it really was well received, and participation was strong. I also attended the open house for the Albert Street reconstruction held here at City Hall. It was very well attended. I'm sure we must have had every resident on the street show up. City staff did a marvelous job. They had a lengthy diagram showing the street itself with all the infrastructure and the intersections, but I made a habit of asking people on the way out the door, did all of your questions get answered? And they assured me that they did. They were very pleased with the open house, so congratulations to staff on that. It was well done, and the residents really appreciated it. Also attended the open house for Temiskaming Vision Care, the new optometrist office. It was really well attended, but that's a wonderful facility for that section of town. It sure brightens up the area and looks very good. So with that, no other committees? Ducharme.
I guess I'm so busy lately I can't remember what I attended, but I was pleased to attend the Pride Temiskaming March on Friday, which was very well attended. People were just really happy to be out and sharing in the community, so congratulations to the Pride Temiskaming group for organizing that. Councillor Levine was also there, and also pleased to attend the Road Safety Day. To see all the kids really enjoying the paramedics, the honking the horn, which I think I shared, is never gets old for the kids, but gets old quickly for the grown-ups. But the kids pulling all the horns, and the bike ride was lots of fun. So really great to see people out, kind of getting a feel for what those vehicles look like. I didn't realize the Snowminator also operates in the summertime, so it's good to know.
Good, thank you for that. Councillor Wilson?
Just quickly, I'd like to also, the emergency event was I missed the bike ride, unfortunately, and had some issues in the morning, but the event was great. It was a great opportunity, actually, to talk with, had a great chat with Vallejo, our transit provider, and also with the Fifth Wheel Trading School was great, having some discussions with them, as well as all the firefighters there raising money for something that's coming up later in our agenda, so that was great chatting with them. And also, I just wanted to echo your comments on the Albert Street open house. It was excellent, and thanks to staff for doing that.
Good. All right, moving on. Notice motions. Hearing none. Item 15, new business. Item A, motion of support, opposition to Enbridge Gas proposed utility field locate fee. I'll read the resolution. Whereas Enbridge recently made an announcement of their intention to begin charging third-party contractors and other utilities $200 Canadian plus applicable taxes for utility locates where a field locate is required, and whereas third-party contractors in Ontario municipalities, and whereas these locate requests are only required where Ontario municipalities have allowed utilities to use municipal right-of-ways at no charge to the utilities, and whereas this announcement of new downloaded costs will negatively impact the budgets of Ontario municipalities, which are already burdened, and whereas if Enbridge is successful in implementing this new change, a precedent is set for other utility companies to also begin charging for locates. Therefore, be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores strongly opposes these utility locate costs being downloaded to Ontario municipalities by Enbridge Gas or other utilities, and that the Province of Ontario's Minister of Public Safety and Business Service Deliveries make it clear that these costs must be borne by the utilities themselves, and that a copy of this motion be forwarded to the Premier of Ontario, Minister of Public and Business Service Delivery, Ministry of Infrastructure, Ministry of Energy, MPP Cochrane-Temiskaming, MP Nipissing-Temiskaming, Associations of Ontario Municipalities, and the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities. Could I have a mover? Councillor Foley, Councillor Graydon, discussions? Councillor Wilson?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, this is seriously a major issue, and I think it's very clear in this. And I know it's definitely a problem that we have to address. And I just thought I'd mention that in my support of this particular resolution.
Good. Any other discussions? Steve, you want to comment on that, or you want me to?
Just one comment from a budget perspective, just to put things into a little bit of context. We had 100 water breaks last year, which every water break needs a locate called in for. That's an increase of $20,000 to our budget, and that's just for water breaks. We call in locates for things that Matt does in recreation for parks and, benches. So there's a lot more than just those 100 for the water breaks.
Thanks for that. And I can say that when Enbridge first came out with this, there was a very quick uproar. They've withdrawn their intent to impose this $200 fee, but all they've done is gone back and looking for a way to reword it in a gentler fashion, but the fact is they're still planning and implementing some sort of a user fee. So even though it's been withdrawn, I think at various levels of council it's important that we support this. Councillor Foley?
Yeah, so if our third party goes out and they get charged 200 now, are they going to slap an admin fee on for them having to administer, because they've got to do processing to bill us, would they not? So does that fee, would that, like, who does our locates? Is it Gentech? Like, who does our locates now?
GTEL.
Yeah, so GTEL for having to administer, charging out $200 to us, would they be billing us the $200, or is it Enbridge that bills us?
So I don't know the answer to that question. I can only assume that every locate request that comes in where GTEL would have to locate Enbridge gas, the charge would come from Enbridge gas back to the municipality.
Okay.
Yeah. But the way legislation is written is the utility company is responsible for the locate, whether they contract it out or not, and that drives up their costs. That's kind of irrelevant to us. Any other discussion on that? All in favor? And that's carried. Item B, motion of support. School bus stop arm cameras. Whereas almost 824,000 students travel in about 16,000 school vehicles every school day in Ontario, and according to the Ministry of Transportation statistics, the rate of vehicles failing to stop for a stop school bus is over 30,000 times every day. And whereas the province of Ontario passed the Safer School Zones Act in 2017, which authorizes the use of automated school bus stop arm camera systems to detect incidences where vehicles fail to stop when the school bus has the stop arm extended. And whereas the Association of Municipalities, working on behalf of all Ontario municipalities, made its submission to the Standing Committee on General Government on May 21st, 2019, in support of administrative monetary penalties to be used to collect fine revenue for school bus stop arm infractions and other applications, including automated speed enforcement technologies deployed in school and community safety zones. And whereas police resources cannot be spread any thinner to enforce additional highway traffic offenses through municipalities, and whereas the administrative and financial costs to establish the required municipal AMPS program under the Highway Traffic Act and its regulations are substantial and may be out of reach for small or rural municipalities that have insufficient amounts of traffic to generate the required funds to offset the annual operating costs of the municipal AMPS program. Now therefore be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores urges the provincial government to, 1, require all school buses to have stop arm cameras installed and paid for by the province for the start of 2023-2024 school year, and 2, underwrite the cost of the implementation and ongoing annual costs for administrative monetary penalties in small and rural municipalities. And further, that this resolution be circulated to Premier Doug Ford, Attorney General Doug Downey, Minister of Education Stephen Lecce, Minister of Natural Resources and Forestry, and MPP for Temiskaming Cochrane, and the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. Mover? Councillor Levine. Seconder? Councillor Ducharme, discussions. Hearing none, all in favor?
Sorry, Chair. Again, want to support this. There's definitely some data around the improvement, and if it's a province-wide type of initiative, right now it's very localized. It's on some systems, but not others, and that starts to create a culture around how people react when they're around school buses. So support that. Just also one more point that Roma perhaps could be added to that list.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, we can certainly add Roma to the distribution list. No further discussion. All in favor? That's carried. Item C, memo number 008 PW 2023, amendment bylaw 2022-107, agreement with Enterprise Fleet Management. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledge receipt of Memo 008 PW 2023, and the Council direct staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend Bylaw 2022-107, being the agreement with Enterprise Fleet Management, to include the consignment auction agreement as a schedule to said bylaw for consideration at 2023 regular council meeting. Mover, Councillor Foley, Councillor Wilson. Discussions? No questions? All in favor? That's carried. Item D, Administrative Report PPP 003-2023, Remote Access Vehicle, Fire Services, Station 1, Hellebury. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report PPP 003-2023, and this Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into a funding agreement for a donation towards the purchase of a remote access vehicle to be used for wildland firefighting and located at Station 1 in the amount of $38,750 plus applicable taxes for consideration at the June 20th, 2023 regular council meeting. Mover, Councillor Graydon. Councillor Belcher-Levine. I'm writing this all down for you. Somebody else probably keeping track of it too. Before I go for discussions, Steve, did you want to make any comment on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to say not quite a year ago, the Hillbury Firefighters Association started fundraising in the hopes of purchasing a remote access type vehicle. Their fundraising has went quite well, and they find themselves in a position to make the purchase happen. So we're here today looking for an agreement for the donation and the purchase of a remote access type vehicle.
Good. Questions regarding the resolution? Councillor Wilson?
Thanks, Chair. I just want to say, congratulations on that fundraising. Very effective. And I had the opportunity to discuss a little bit with Kyle on the weekend about how this vehicle could, not only wildland firefighting, but other applications for its use. Excellent. Congratulations.
Councillor Ducharme, did you want to?
So my understanding is the maintenance will be covered through the way you, like your ongoing maintenance that everybody's doing?
That's correct. It would just roll into our regular maintenance program.
Great. And then what's the life cycle of a vehicle like this? I take it, I'm starting to understand fire vehicles last a long time because they're used in short spurts and hopefully as rarely as possible.
Rarely as possible, and they're babied a fair amount.
Okay.
We have a fantastic maintenance program. It wouldn't be a stretch to say we'll have this vehicle 20 years.
Very cool. Thank you.
I guess we could say in a perfect world we'd only use it for parades, but unfortunately there will be times it's called on. But I think express our thanks to the fundraisers.
I will comment on that. We certainly, the support was once again from the community just unreal. We're hoping if we're successful in getting the vehicle, we'll roll that into the open house for the new station and have that opportunity to thank the people who donated, because there was some very generous folks out there.
Good, thanks. Okay, no more discussion on the resolution. All in favor? And that's carried. Item 16, bylaws. So I'll read them out. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2023-069, being a bylaw to enter an agreement with EXP Services for the contract administration for the Albert Street reconstruction project. Bylaw number 2023-070, being a bylaw to enter an agreement with Miller Paving Limited for the completion of the Grant Drive extension asphalt. Bylaw number 2023-071, being a bylaw to designate any plan of subdivision or part thereof that has been registered for 8 years or more, which shall be deemed as not a registered plan of a subdivision, 353 and 357 Joel Drive. Bylaw number 2023-072, being a bylaw to enter into a 5-year lease agreement with Dr. Hilary Lawson for use of space in the Hillbury Medical Clinic. Bylaw number 2023-073, being a bylaw to enter a 5-year lease agreement with Dr. Lynn Lacoste for the use of space in the Hillbury Medical Center. Bylaw number 2023-074, being a bylaw to enter a 2-year lease agreement with Daniel Sabotin Dentistry Professional Corporation for the use of space in the Hillbury Medical Center. Bylaw number 2023-075, being a bylaw to enter a 2-year lease agreement with Daniel Sabotin Dentistry Professional Corporation for use of space in the Hillbury Medical Center. Lunch area and storage, the first one was for office space. Bylaw number 2023-076, being a bylaw to enter a 5-year lease agreement with the Hillbury Curling Club for the lands described as 434 Leslie McFarland Way. Bylaw number 2023-077, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2022-107, being the Enterprise Fleet Management Agreement for the addition of the Consignment Auction Agreement. Bylaw number 2023-078, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with the Hillbury Firefighters Association for the financial contributions for the purchase of a remote access vehicle. Be hereby introduced and given first and second reading, be signed by Mayor and Clerk, and a corporate seal fixed thereto. Do I have a mover? Councillor Foley, Councillor Ducharme. Discussion only on the third reading. Oh no, any discussion on any of the bylaws? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Schedule of council meetings. Committee of the Whole, regular council meeting, July the 11th, 2023, starting at 3 p.m. And B, Committee of the Whole, regular council meeting, August the 8th, 2023, starting at 3 p.m. And we have a closed session. Do you read that now or take a break?
We can take a recess.
Okay, so we'll take a 10-minute recess and come back for closed session.